What's going on, everybody? LK here, and today I want to talk about dream buffs for Baiken. Baiken's really interesting because she's actually honestly like pretty strong. I think it's less of actual buffs that I want for the character and more like small quality of life stuff. This actually was pretty hard to think about in the end, so I had to think about like what are my personal pain points with the character. Probably the biggest thing that I would like is for our 5H to be bigger. This means a couple things. One would be this having more active frames. So this move only has 2 active frames. So, like, one thing I've always been really jealous of Zato for example, is actually his 5H. This move has, like, 9 active frames, and they use it against, like, jabs. You know, people using, like, light attacks. I would love to use 5H or 6H in this way. And to be honest, your 6H is comparable, but it has 1 less active frame, so it's 8 frame startup. It's slower. It's 20 frames startup, so it's pretty slow. And then it has a lot of recovery. This move has a lot of recovery, too, to be fair. I believe it's, like, 19 frames, but I feel like the 5H would fill that niche really well. This move is 13 frames, but it has only 2 active frames, so it's really hard to use that way, even though you could use it this way. And the 5H actually has more recovery than 6H, only by 1 frame, but it does have more recovery than 6H, so I would like it to have more active frames. That would help a lot in certain matchups. So for example, like first Jacko, for example, her 2K, really hard to play around. Baiken's Far Slash is like a top tier Far Slash. Essentially the only flaw this move has is that it doesn't convert on normal hit against standing opponents, which comes up way more often than you think. So for matchups like this, usually I have use like a different button like this, which is fine. 2S has like a lot of recovery there, but I would just really like to have like Cybertron for using this. Because this would just like stop them from running around and mashing 2K only. Like just that move makes the ground versus ground game when there's no minions on the screen pretty annoying, I would say. I would like a little less recovery on it too, but it doesn't have to be anything too crazy. I'm still surprised that this has more recovery than this. That's all. So the first change I'd actually want would be H Kabaddi to be very slightly faster, maybe like 16 frames instead of 18 frames. It being slightly faster would do a ton for her conversion ability. So they're characters who are able to hit from pretty far, and even though this is not like a great knockdown, you know, it's like a soft knockdown, the thing is it does lead into offense. So another character that's really good at this, by the way, is Leo Whitefang. So because of the way he's made, his conversion ability is just like perfect. He's just able to get conversions, like meaningful conversions, from just like so many ranges. So like 5H has an issue where, you know, it's not as big as Far Slash, so you get like this thing. And then of course 2H is 17, so this is not combo. It would be very nice if at this range that she plays at, if she could actually convert a little bit more often. And the thing about Kabaddi is 18 plus travel time. That's the really important thing, plus travel time. So it has to like get over 2. So if it's a little bit faster in startup, I think it will help her be a little bit more consistent. When you talk about this character, she has a huge list of strengths, but this thing about converting far hits is actually a pretty big deal in some really important matchups. Matchups would include like Leo, Ramathol would be 2 of the really big ones. But then for less quote-unquote tournament meta characters, one would be Soul. Soul, the fact that I can't combo Far Slash max range comes up a ton in that matchup, and actually I had to change still am working on changing a lot of stuff to deal with that problem. Another thing I would really like is more use for the H Kabaddi follow-up. I want to say it had more uses before they changed it. So actually in Season 2, they totally revamped how her H Kabaddi works. It's definitely more stable than it used to be. I believe, and this is definitely off the top of my head, the old one, the first hit was like not that good on block or something. So this move you can delay to go through people. I think it has some pretty niche usage overall, I would say. So of course the first normal one that everyone knows is that it's a combo ender for her, right? So this is like her pretty standard combo ender. Some people also use it for resets, so they'll do something like this. I'm personally not that big of a fan of it, but I've been thinking there's probably more usage that I give it credit for, because usually I just never do stuff like this, right? It's a nice sneaky little way to sneak out of the corner if someone's not looking for it. So you'll see me like rock this every now and then to get out the corner. Most people are looking for you to jump and especially use maybe something like this to get out the corner. So having this option as well is pretty nice, especially with how good characters are at keeping your back to the wall by like, keeping space. And then another big one is to get around reversals, actually, if you read them. Basically, Baiken has the only reversal in the game you could PRC, the Meatos one that you could PRC. Other characters with reversals can't do this, so this is a really nice way to kind of read them and not totally give out your pressure. That being said, I find the move outside of combos, the uses are pretty niche. So if you do hit somebody, counter hit, the return you get is massive. So I'm sure you've seen me do this combo time and time again in matches, but actually pretty rarely from that starter. So the return is crazy, but you really are gambling, and definitely something that I've always thought about her in tournaments is that the type of person that typically plays Baiken is okay with gambling on return like that, but for consistency's sake, I don't think you can use it like that so often. So I just find myself not using this move so much, besides like niche repositioning or like try to get through or things like that. So it'd be cool if this move had like just some other use, I want to say. What type of stuff would I want? I'm not quite sure, to be honest. So for example, in Exert, she had this move called Suzuran, which actually kind of looks like this, like the second part where she's running through you. It looks like this. That was projectile interval, I want to say. It's more like a guard point than anything else. This would make some match, actually two specific matchups way less of a headache, even if the H Property follow-up is locked behind H Property, right? So matches like Happy Chaos would be way easier if you had this. You're kind of a spectator against this character until you get 50 meter, basically, so that you can just try to basically kill him instantly when you actually get in on him. It's actually kind of similar to Anji's move here, the spin. So this, you can kind of just, with this, you can kind of just tank a bullet nearby. Of course, it's not like the be-all, end-all or anything like that, but it would just be nice to have another use for them. So the last one is a pretty specific one. It is higher attack level for air tatami. Right now, the ground tatami, I want to say, is like attack level 2 or something off the top of my head. It's a 2-hit move. -3, you know, if the second hit is the only one that hits, Bike is slightly advantageous, kills projectiles, things like that. The air tatami, though, is a lot different. Unlike the ground tatami, it only kills one projectile. So if we look at the difference between the tatamis, for example, so the ground tatami actually has like a special projectile slaying hitbox on it. So like this move is charged stun edge, it's 3 hits. So if I use the air tatami, I'll only clash 1 and then I get hit by 2. So I'll just get here real quick. So right there, I got hit by 2 hits. So I got rid of 1 and I got hit by 2. Where if I use the ground one, it just destroys the projectile. So one thing I actually find a lot, and I was pretty puzzled by this for a long time, was a situation that kind of looks like this. So there's a situation where my tatami is there, the opponent's running at me and swings even though I landed. So Baiken lands first, usually when you're doing air dash back tatami, and then the tatami falls too. But what happens is, because the attack level is low, I will hit them, but I can't capitalize on it. And depending on the attack level of the move they used, I may be like even or like +1-ish. See how I can't like capitalize on it? Like I just kind of block. I have played people of many skill levels where this situation comes up. I used to be like, bro, like the tatami's there, but it actually is my classic pet peeve. People don't care about getting hit by it. And I've tried a lot of solutions too. I think a really easy one that would make people pay attention a little bit more against Baiken would be to raise the attack level. I think if at attack level 1, it would be pretty reasonable, because on hit, you generally get 3 frames of extra hit stun. If it's attack level 0, that's 9 frames of hit stun. You can check all this on Dust Loop, by the way. So an additional 3 frames would be 12 frames of hit stun, where most attack level 2 moves are like 13 frame hit stun, block stun, right? If it's attack level 1, which would make it 11 frames, it would be like 14. I think it would be a little bit easier to convert. I don't even think she needs a full combo. I just like deterring people. It's basically my same problem with what Capo had before, where people didn't care about getting hit by it. So I would do it to people and they would get hit, but I didn't get a combo unless they were airborne. That's the old Melia. And then they were like, people were just like, well, I don't care. You have to hit me this move like 15 times. So tatami's kind of the same. When the life totals are different, when Kai has like this much life, it's pretty scary to run into something like that, because you really can't get hit by it that much at this point. Maybe you could get hit by it 2 more times, but early game, this one is pretty annoying. But yeah, that's basically some of my dream changes for Baiken. Again, disclaimer, I do think she's a really, really good character. That's, I switched to her because everyone was saying she was broken, but then my impression of the character was very good from playing her, and actually learning her has made me learn way more about the game because of all her defensive stuff. So I already think she's really, really strong. This stuff, giving her one of these things would make her significantly better, I think, for tournaments. And then giving her all these would just make her top tier, probably. So please, Arxis, just give me one, please. Thank you. As usual, if you have any questions or comments, definitely feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Like, subscribe if you feel like it, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.